Hey everybody, it's Alara. It has been 31 days since I last recorded. Um, so forgive me if I'm a little everywhere because I want to tell you all the things all at once. That's not going to work. So we'll see. I look probably almost exactly the same as last time because I am still in this sweatshirt because it's still cold. It snowed today. I am so ready for spring. It is Saturday, March the 12th at 1:30 in the morning. I've actually had to make myself stay up late because I just was not finding time during the day to record. There's too much going on with the family and everything, so I stayed up late tonight. Tomorrow is time change for the United States, or most of the United States, probably elsewhere in the world too, I think. And I didn't want to make the 1:30 in the morning turn into a 2:30 in the morning. So there is that. I have some progress to show you. I did try to do a finish it February. That ended up being kind of a bust. Not surprising if you've been with me for a little while. I make plans, I break plans. That's what I do. I have to follow a pretty rigorous schedule for my day job. So yeah, I think I make rules just so that I can break them, and I'm okay with that. It's a surprise every time you see me. So I did work on, for the most part, and I'll explain what happened when we get there. I did work on all older projects in February until I was bombarded. So let's start with what I worked on trying to get it done for Finish It February. So this is one that I've had not a super long time. I started this back when I was kind of starting to get into cross stitching a couple of years ago. Be a Light by Dimensions. It's just one of their mini kits I picked up at Hobby Lobby or Walmart or Joann's, something that has the small kits. And I didn't get it done. I did put a solid effort into it though. So here is where, and I honestly don't even remember. You'll see here where I was before. Let's back that out a little bit so that you can see. I ended up putting about 1,100 stitches in this over a few days. I think almost all of this jar is new, and I've started getting the background filled in. And then I got sidetracked. I don't know by what. But I'm pretty happy with the progress. I may not have gotten it done for Finish It February, but you know, I definitely put in a good hurrah for it. So there's that. I just dropped it. Okay. I had started off working, it came with a hoop, or one of my other small kits came with a hoop, and you can still kind of see the hoops. I got annoyed with that. So I started stitching this in hand so that I wouldn't have to stop and move the hoop every time I wanted to keep going with a color. And I think that did help get as much progress as I did get done with that. This will continue to be, when I feel like just something a little bit small or whatever to work on for an evening, I'll continue to put some progress in this. The next thing I worked on of my lofty goals to Finish It February is Summer Stroll by this is a gold collection by Dimensions. And again, if you've been with me for a while, you know she is my oldest WIP, or very nearly, very close to my oldest WIP. There's two that are contenders, but I had left her in the hoop for 17 years. Got her out of the hoop, got her all washed up as best as I could. There's a video on that. I don't know how to do the cards. Look at my channel, you'll find it if you're interested. I really had the intention of finishing her, but the last little bit is cording, and I have found it very annoying to get this last bit of cording done, because if I do it properly, you know, without going down and up like a back stitch, it looks good, but it looks weird, and I got really annoyed with it. But it's hard to tell because she looks very similar to what you saw last time. But I got all the back stitching on her flowers done. They are done. The flowers fini. I started on the cording. You can see over here in the corner on the bottom of her dress, and it just looks rough. That's just threads hanging. And all that's left is a little tiny bit of cording left. Well, okay, not really little bit of tiny, but enough that I'm annoyed with it and I put it down. But I just have the cording and some French knots to do, and she's done. I just have to get motivated again to get her done. So, but she's gorgeous. I really like this one. But I have to be in the mood for it. And I think I found, actually, I don't necessarily hate backstitching. I hate backstitching that looks exactly like everything around it. I have a really hard time following the pattern when I can't see the last stitch that I did. That's what's annoying me about this one. It does define it. It does give it depth and dimension, hence their whatever they're known for. But yeah, I have a really difficult time working on that. The next one that I feel like I put a decent push on is this Pegasus company I'm not naming because I'm pretty sure it's a ripoff. But this is one that I've replaced as many as I care to, as far as once I found out what was copyrighted, what was not. So this one I had so much work in it, I was not going to replace it. Now the last time I showed you, I had unscrolled it so that you could see the whole thing. I'm not going to unscroll it this time, just because it's kind of a pain in the booty. But you will be able to see where I worked. So I don't know if that's gonna be really hard to do. So here, here's before, and you can see from here that I have worked mostly, I'm like peeping Tom through the fabric, mostly down in the water here and the rest of the grass and the rock. I finished filling in. I did fill in the hooves. And look, y'all, you'll be so proud of me. I actually did the back stitching that's down here in the flowers so that I don't have to worry about going back and finishing it. I think once I get more filled in on the horse, there's some back stitching here that I'll go ahead and finish while I'm still down here before I scroll. And I know with the pre-printed, it is kind of hard to see where I've worked, but it'll make a lot of sense once I get there. I don't have a stitch count for that. With a pre-printed, I really just kind of do a zone out and stitch kind of mindless stitching, which is nice for the pre-printeds. It's just hard to justify them anymore because I know most of those companies rip off artists. Okay, so I'm gonna start jumping around a little bit because you know what? I am gonna go in order. So the reason I got derailed on Finish It February is because my friend Stephanie from SEWGlover Creations is amazing. And last video I had talked about how I had went ahead, I didn't buy the chart. I only requested the supersize max color version of Veil Nebula. I wanted to start this for sure in the future. I wanted to go ahead and get it requested because it wasn't on Heaven and Earth Designs website. So I submitted my request so that it would be done. And I figured, there's so much black, I wouldn't have time to source some black floss for it. And the next day, Stephanie had sent me that chart. So thank you, Stephanie. I so appreciate you. And she actually, when I realized what she had done, of course I messaged her and said thank you. And then was lamenting that I definitely did not have enough black 310. I figured I would just source it from China, but she was talking to me and we, just talking back and forth about like Joann's and they are kind of overpriced, but if you do their coupons and sales right, you can get really good deals. Well, she actually pointed me to their giant 310 cone, which I actually shared on Instagram when I came in because I was preparing. But she had helped me source that. So again, thank you, Stephanie. We've also talked like interfacing for bags and anyhow. So I did not buy a chart, but I could not. I said when I got that chart, I was going to start it right away. I was not kidding. She had messaged me to say, you know, check your email that morning. That night I cut it out and started it. So here's my start on supersize max color. It's washing out a little bit. That's all 310. Why is that washing out so bad? I don't know. Sorry, guys. But you can already see that there's some stars showing up. What is happening with my lighting? I mean, I know it's 1:30 in the morning. I might have actually turned too many lights on. Hang on, let me try turning off on the light. That's a little better. I noticed in my last video the colors were doing some funky stuff, the lighting. I don't know. Anyway, so my giant cone of 310 is going to be getting some love. I am doing this on 28 count China Aida from the store. I have had some requests on where I get my fabric from, so I will go ahead and link them down below. I did figure out how to actually link that store. I've bought from them several times. I do find them reputable. The measurements there's the odd like column of like fatter squares, but for the most part they do measure true width and length. It's very stiff, so if stiff fabric annoys you, definitely steer clear. But I'm doing this 1/1 because I don't necessarily want this to be a super fast project, and I wanted to give it the time and attention that 1/1 can do for me. There are benefits and cons for me for tent stitching. While it is faster, I do find starting in ending threads on tent stitch can be a little bit of an annoyance for me, simply because if I can't do a loop start, it's harder for me to start the floss on for tent stitching because I have to run it under some of the threads on the back. If I don't have a long enough... Anyways, my thoughts are very scattered today. It's harder for me to start on 28 count tent stitch 2/2, 2/1. And I've been playing around a little bit with ending threads for tent stitching, but generally speaking, I find it a little easier to end them on 1/1 as well. Okay, so that actually derailed me for an entire week. I worked nothing on else but that. I got in a total of 3,600 stitches for 0.54% of a start on Veil Nebula. So that was, like I said, a whole week. Did nothing but that. I did take a break to do some panel cutting for my bags, but that was a big chunk of time that I thoroughly enjoyed. Next, let's see. Okay, then I left to go on my trip to Georgia. Technically, it's right on the border of Georgia and Florida, which is about a 12.5-hour drive south for me. It's you go to St. Mary's, Georgia, hit the ferry, take a 45-minute ferry ride to an island, and I stayed there. We were there for a week. But that did give me the opportunity for a start and a finish. So I kind of did finish it February, last hurrah. I did, okay, so here, again, this is gonna be a company unnamed, because I don't know if they got this chart legally or not. But this was just it's a little tiny unicorn that I thought was super cute. Just something to not necessarily hang on my wall, but something to keep me occupied. And I had actually shared on Instagram. This was what it looked like very early in the start. It was a pre-printed, not very big at all. I don't know exactly how many stitches, but I did a not fully finished. I did an FO. So this took me about, I don't know, 15 hours total. I drove basically halfway down and halfway back, and then I just stitched on this the whole other time I was in the car as the passenger. But I even got the back stitching done. I didn't iron it yet, but I did, and it was super easy to get the ink out. We just throw it in some tap water overnight, let it soak, and it came right out. So super cute, super fast, super easy. Well, unicorn looks like he's wearing some clown makeup. Can't unsee that now. But it was cute. It was fun. And it was easy to do in the car. I did stitch that in hand the whole time. I'll tell you what, I did stitching in hand the entire week I was on that island, because I did get some stitching in besides that. But by the end of the week, my hands were so fatigued. Hats off to the ladies and gents who can do stitching in hand all the time, because like I feel like I've been in a fight. These knuckles were killing me from holding the needle like I was. I don't know. It was nice not to have to worry about a hoop, but tired. And then I've not ever actually shown you guys this one before. There it is. So that was the unicorn was my car ride. One of my stepsons got this for me for Christmas. My nickname for that from my stepkids is Care Bear. So he wanted to get me something that reminded him of us. And I promised him that I would start this on my trip, and I did. And that's how far I got. I got a little bit of the clouds. Now this is not a full coverage by any stretch of the imagination. I think most of the cloud is unstitched, and then the snowman that'll be over here is stitched. But I got a little bit discouraged because here in his nose, see that rogue, hide me, that rogue white stitch right there? That doesn't belong there. And then this brown stitch does not belong there either. I added that stitch and then everything got shoved over. So I've got there's some back stitching there, and it just won't make sense if I don't take that out. So I've got to do a little bit of ripping and finagling and restitching. So, but we got to the island on Sunday, had a 3.5 mile bike trip on packed sand with loaded trailers. That was brutal for a fat and out of shape girl. We made it and then set up camp on Sunday, and then of course by the time we got all set up and everything, it was headed towards evening and we were bushed at that point. So and then Sunday night and into Monday it rained all day, which we were expecting. It ended up being pretty chilly, pretty cold, but I stitched on that pretty much all Monday. It didn't stop raining until about 8 o'clock at night that night, and by 8 o'clock it's pitch black. So we had already kind of settled down for the evening. So that's what I worked on during the week, like before I would pass out at night, because we would exhaust ourselves doing what we're doing during the day, and then I would get maybe a thread before I went, I'm tired, and would pass out. Came back, and my husband's best friend actually lives in North Carolina, about 6.5 hours from us. And he had a German Shepherd that was his buddy, Boudreax. And they had found a big lump in his chest about 3 weeks ago now. He had surgery and had it removed. And unfortunately, they thought they had got it all, and they had not. So he had, over the weekend, last weekend, my husband's friend had been out of town camping and got a call from his wife and said, "You've got to come home. He can't walk. He's not eating. Something's really wrong." He took him in to the vet and did an x-ray, and his chest cavity was just riddled. So they made that tough decision to go ahead and not let him suffer anymore, and made the tough decision. So the next day was his final goodbyes, and his wife had posted a bunch of pictures and stuff of him playing and with the kids, or his daughter, and I found a picture that I decided I wanted to stitch for him in memory. So I did not pay for this chart. I did it through pixel-stitch.net. I'll link them below. I really like how they have several different, you can put in however many stitch count up to a certain point. You can put however many colors you want up to a certain point, and they'll show different renderings. You can pick your level of detail based on size. I really like that about that. So here was the picture that I pulled off Facebook. He doesn't know I'm doing this, and I don't even know if he knows what my channel name is. But I pulled this picture off of Facebook, and I charted it. Let's see if I can get you past the glare. So I think that's pretty true as far as the rendering goes. It's going to be kind of a typical Heaven and Earth design size, so it's not small. I think I did it 500 by 666 stitches, so it's not tiny. But I think I have found my focus piece with this, because yes, it's going to take me a while. I would have to do like 1100 stitches a day to even think about getting it done for Christmas. If I would want to have it done for his 1-year memorial, I'd have to do something like 900 stitches a day. So it's not realistic that I'm going to get it done before Christmas of next year. But I'm certainly going to put a huge effort into that kind of a goal. Cross your fingers for me, because you know how I am with goals if you've been with me for any length of time. But I started this on Monday, the 7th. I did 300 stitches then. I also finished Magical Unicorn that day, so that was why it was kind of a small thing. And then it's been, since I was off work for a week, I've been really pushing to try and get more work done. So my work day has been a lot longer, so my crafting time has been taking a hit until I get a little more comfortably caught up. And then yesterday and Thursday, I worked some more on it, and I got a total of 1,500 stitches in already. So it doesn't look like a whole lot. There's a few colors in there, but not a ton. And it's just the corner of the table so far, so nothing much to look at, but it's a good start, I think. And as far as projects, so totally derailed on having a new start with the Veil Nebula, and then really wanting to do this memorial for our friend. But that was it. That was my, it's been 30 days, and usually I have a lot more than that, but that's what I have, and that's what it is, and I'm okay with that. Let's see. Oh, I did forget. So the Black Needle Society had, so we're gonna kind of transition into a little bit of haul, sort of. But the Black Needle Society had a giveaway, a series of giveaways on their Instagram account. February, I think, maybe January, I can't remember. It was a while ago. And I actually won their January box. Now, I have not had confirmation that they have shipped. I did touch base with them before I left for my vacation, and she said that they were waiting on some of the perishables to be replaced and then sent. We'll see. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, it was a giveaway to begin with. It's not like I paid for it. I'm not going to. It'll be okay. But if it comes, I'm really excited, and I will share that with you if and when I get it. Okay, so I had complained a little while ago about having to order more thread already. I've already got another list going for stuff that I'm going to be short of for sure, especially with a couple of these unplanned starts. But I had gotten another shipment in, just small, like 50 skeins, I think. No, it's a handful. Yeah. But I wanted to show you, and again, I will link the store that I use for my off-brand threads. I do love DMC. I do not love what DMC does to my pocketbook, for the most part. Like I said, I got the 310 DMC cone because it was like 8 cents equivalent skein, because there's the mega cone, it's like 263 skeins of black equivalent. I'm gonna have enough black for a little while. And when I can get a good deal on DMC, I absolutely take advantage of it. But okay, so one is DMC. There we go. One is DMC, one is off-brand. And in person, there is a very slight shade difference. Not enough to bother me, and not enough to not mix them. The off-brand, I don't know if you can even tell the difference. The difference in feel, the off-brand is a little bit fluffier. So it does, I wouldn't say pill, but that's probably a good description of the fibers come off a little bit more easily, like the staples of the cotton were just a touch smaller or shorter than DMC uses. There you go. And this is one of the new colors, 34. So they do the equivalent numbers here. Focus, not on me. So, but I wanted to show you in case you know, you had any questions about color matching. I have gotten off-brand floss from China that was not a good match. Very off shade, very off-putting as far as trying to match. So there are brands that I would not recommend, and it's actually an unbranded off-brand. This one is Amo, which the store that I use off of AliExpress is Grand Amo. So it is their brand. They do intermingle, hang on, see if I can find one. Yeah. They do intermingle their brand with Sullivan's. I did a little bit of research for the Sullivan brand, and they are a reputable alternative. And they also, I forgot to pull one to show you the matches, but in my experience, it does match very well to the DMC shades. So again, if you are on a budget and you want to enjoy full coverage but are really off-put by trying to source, and I know with what's going on in the world, their politically charged atmosphere against China, so by all means go with what you feel is right as far as your decisions, is, you know, from where you buy, what you buy. But unfortunately, the reality of the U.S. is that most of our stuff at this point comes from China. Yes, you absolutely can source other things, USA made or other more ethically inclined sources. So that's up to you as far as what you're comfortable with. I haven't made a decision at this point what I'm going to continue to do or not do. I'm just giving you some options and what I have done up until this point. Oh, yes. So, partial story time. My husband and I had to go, our So the business that we own, I sew for a living, and we use Pfaff sewing machines, and like mine is the super uber fancy. Could not believe we got this kind of a deal on my machine. My husband was actually alerted to another machine just like that someone was selling for pretty much dirt cheap. His mother had passed, unfortunately. She had never used it as far as he knew. He had gotten it for her several years ago, so we were like, absolutely, yes, we're interested, because I don't have a backup machine if mine goes down. Can't afford to not have a machine to work on. So it was down very close to where we get ours serviced. So we're like, well, you know what, we'll go down, we'll take a look at it. If we feel like it's a good deal, but maybe needs some work, we can drop it off to get serviced on our way home. So we went, looked at it, booted it up. It sounded awful, but it did turn on. It had the basics. We talked him down a little bit from his asking price because it would not sew. I knew something had probably seized in the motor or something because of non-use. It had no hours on it. So we go ahead and buy it, drop it off at the sewing machine shop that we use, which seems so easy. I'll go ahead and link them because I do believe they do some online. Could be wrong. I'll go ahead and link them anyway because I know some of my viewers are relatively local, and that's who we use. Unfortunately, or fortunately, this place is also very much a quilting shop because we use quilting machines for our business. And so I went to their sale room and I found some more fabric that I want to show you. It's not very many. It's not going to be the hour-long special that I had last time. But I found, this is like I think it's a batik, but it's like a tropical flower theme. And I found this pretty lavender to go with it. So I thought those went together really well. And then these next ones I really just liked, and I don't necessarily have a plan for who's going to go with what, but I liked them. Blue and gold. That's kind of a gold paint. And this was like a Mardi Gras themed fabric collection that she was, like I said, these were all like super sale, half price off kind of things. And then stripy fabric I really liked. It was good. It's a lot easier to be careful how much you spend when you can hold it in your hands and know exactly how much you're getting. And then I also I didn't realize when I got this that this is like a panel, like a yard panel that has this design goes big. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that one yet. And that's it. That's the haul. That, because, you know, no new charts. I didn't really, and by no new charts I mean I'm not buying charts. So thank you again, Stephanie. So that's it for stitchy stuff as far as cross stitch goes. I know bag fabric wasn't really cross stitch, so I'm sorry if I tortured you with that and you're not interested. Because boy, I'll tell you what, last month's video, I got a really good response from a whole lot of you, and I appreciate that so much. By the way, oh my gosh, how rude of me for not saying thank you for coming back to my channel, and welcome to all my new viewers, and welcome and hello again to everyone who's coming back, because I'm a jerk like that and I forgot to say it at the very beginning of the video. I appreciate you being here. Welcome to my Flosstube channel. That being said, all the furnace died. Now it's quiet. But so that being said, like I said, I got a really great response. A lot of you really appreciated and enjoyed the fact that I loved the fabrics that I was getting. But I'll tell you what, ever since that video got posted, it has been a roller coaster of, now don't get me wrong. I am definitely not here for how many subscribers I can get. That is not, and never will be, it never has been a goal of mine. I just wanted to find my tribe. But quite a few people who had been around definitely took off at a hot run. I have definitely seen the numbers do this bit all through the month. So the bag announcement, either you're really excited with me or it rubbed you the wrong way. If it rubbed you the wrong way, you're probably not even here anymore. But I feel like I feel compelled to reiterate that I am not trying to turn this into a sales platform. I am really excited about the fabrics. I love color. I love the colors that I got. That's the part that I want to show you guys, that I'm excited for it. If nobody who watches my channel ever buys anything from me as far as bags goes, I'm okay with that. I'm ecstatic if you're just here because it's exciting for me too. So please don't feel compelled to, well, she's showing these things, now I feel like I have to buy it. No, please don't feel obligated. That is definitely not the purpose of this. Yeah, I want to say, hey, if you want a bag, you know, that's great. I'm still working on them. But that's definitely not a be all end all goal. It's just another craft that I'm enjoying doing, and I'm enjoying sharing it with you. But like I had said, if I don't try and do a little bit of recoup on an Etsy store or something, my husband's going to kill me. Not really. But it would be nice to kind of support the habit, if you will. And I don't ever plan on doing, and please don't take this as if you do it, I'm against it. No, please don't. I'm just, for me, not interested in doing the like coffee link or the join channel thing, or Patreon at this point. Definitely not something that I am comfortable with doing. I feel like if I want to support this channel financially, that I should be able to give you something that you can hold in your hands physically as a, you know, as a supportive means. So again, if you want to support me in the channel and doing that, and a bag would be your cup of tea, great. But don't feel like that's ever an obligation, ever. Just like, you know, with Stephanie sending me a chart, that was so cool. I'm talking to another Flosstuber, Suki, the brown-eyed stitcher. We're talking about a collaboration and doing a little bit of trade, you know, that kind of thing. But it's never about, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with this or what I'm saying. I did feel some kind of way about watching, about knowing that that's probably what caused my numbers to tank a little bit at first, is that it turned people off. And I certainly don't want to do that to anybody. But at the same point, it's my dang channel. And if it's rubbing you the wrong way, I'm sorry, but that's how it is. I want to, if I am ever going to say, hey, support my channel, it's going to be in such a way that you benefit as well, and not just listen to me run my mouth for an hour or more, because that's what I do. I have long videos because I jabber, because I don't really ever talk to anybody otherwise. So anyway, so that's off my chest. That being said, I will move on. I do want to show you a little bit of what I have gotten done so far. I was really hoping to show you kind of a finished prototype, but that did not happen. Like I said, I have other obligations that I have to get done as far as work goes. But I did get some. I got all the fronts and backs joined. Okay, I need, y'all, I need some help. Okay, this is also because, all right, I don't know how quilters who use a sewing machine to do it, because this looks like a hot mess to me. Like the edges are not smooth. Look at that. Look, that just looks terrible. So I like the concept of the squiggly quilting, but I do not understand how to do that. Okay, I don't have one of those darning feet, I think it's called, or the quilting, the free form quilting foot. I don't have one of those. I think maybe I need one of those, but I don't really understand how to. If you have a video that you know of, my eye itches, sorry. If you have a video that shows how to do that, will you please point me in that direction? Because I'm not real thrilled with how the quilting on this one came out. Now, I kind of was trying to, so how these kind of have like swirly gigs going on, I wanted to kind of bring that out in a geometric way on this side. And I don't know, this is like it's interfaced, it's ironed on, but I don't know, it got wrinkly there. So I'm not sure if I didn't quilt it like in the right order or what. So that's a little bit wonky too. And these are probably just going to end up being my personal bags at this point, just because I wasn't real thrilled with how the quilting came out. This one, I think, did pretty good. And I had it follow the stripies of the dragonflies. So just kind of simple, just a simple design of the quilting on that one. And then this one, I kind of did similar to the very first one I did, and just kind of freehanded some stars. I haven't bothered taking out the quilting lines yet, the lines that I drew. I don't know, I started doing something and I was like, no, I don't want to do stripes again. So I just freehanded some stars. And I like how quilting some kind of, I don't know, sets off like contrasting colors. It doesn't all have to match in my book. Oops, dropping stuff still. And then, top of my head, sorry. I thought, I'm really happy with how this one turned out. So it's probably going to be really hard to see. So this is not fully crisscrossed. I don't know if you can see that better on the back or not. There we go. Yeah. So I just kind of herringboned it. That's probably not the right word. I saw a floor, a floor design that I really liked doing this pattern. So I couldn't decide exactly what called to me on this one. But I didn't want to do the swirlies again because I was not comfortable with how that first one turned out. So until I get better with that, I was like, let me just play around with designs. So hopefully next video, for anybody who is actually interested and excited with me, hopefully I will show you some finished bags and what my tweaks are going to be, because I have all of my stuff in. Oh, that reminds me. Hang on, I'm thirsty. I forgot to take a drink. That reminds me, I wanted to show you, I had a friend of ours who worked on some aspects, sorry, flashing in my fat. Oh yeah. Some aspects of our logo for our company. And I had him design a logo for me. So I showed him some of the favorite fabrics that I had picked out. And I don't think he could have picked better colors for me when it comes to this logo. And then this is going to be part of, ooh, you can't see that. There we go. It's so tiny. There we go. But I had my logo sort of laser etched into these carabiners, which I will show you the purpose of, hopefully in my next video. Okay, so as far as crafty things, that's pretty much where I'm at. That's all I've done, and I'm okay with that. Like I said earlier, my apparently my MO is make plans so that I can not do them. All the oh, there it went. Thought in, out. It was done. I'm actually not used to staying up this late anymore. Oh, so along with the... Ooh, before I forget, I want to do some shout outs. So I had been watching Two Martini Stitcher, Erin. I had been binge watching her before I left for my trip, and she's so funny. She's super bubbly, her personality just, she's amazing. I have a hard time binge watching her though, because she has her adult beverage with her for her shows. So I feel like I have to have my adult beverage, and I'm always done with my adult beverage by the time her show is over. So if I watch another one, I really want another adult beverage, and that's asking for trouble by the end of the night, or if I'm working. But I've been having a lot of fun watching her growth in her channel from the start. I'm not done with her channel yet. I'm actually really far behind on my floss tubes now, catching up with you guys because I had no signal pretty much the entire time I was on that little island. I could text back and forth with my husband, but it was really delayed sometimes. So yeah, there was no like actually YouTubing anything or Instagramming anything and whatever. I was there to unconnect and relax for the week. Kayli Rogers. She is Kayli. I'll put her Instagram handle here because I never remember how to say her name exactly right. She's the one who gave me Nomi's to test stitch this pattern here. And I keep forgetting. She has a website. She actually sews bags as well, which is... I forgot to look at it before I started the video. TheSewingShop.ca. I'll put it here, and I'll link her below. But she does round bags, which I have sewn circles. They're a pain in the butt. I bow down to her with her circles. But I really like her bags. She has a completely different style of than I do. And you know, we can't all appeal to everybody. So go check her out. She's fabulous. She's been charting cross stitch designs. So I'm really excited for her too. So go check her out. I kept forgetting to mention that every time I talked about Nomi's and Kayli. So those are my shout outs. I do have a couple of thank yous. Suki, the brown-eyed stitcher, she shouted me out in one of her last videos. It's been a couple now. I think she's put out a couple since that video, and I hadn't recorded. But she gave me an amazing shout out, and I totally sounded like a stalker when she was talking about it. But I truly appreciate her friendship, and it made me smile a lot when she shouted me out. Stitchlit by Claire also shouted me out in one of her last videos. Really appreciate her mentioning me as well. And again, if anybody's coming over here from a shout out that maybe I'm not aware of, please let me know, because I would definitely like to say my thank yous, because that yeah, you don't have to do that, and it means a lot when I hear that, and I want to say thanks. Oh, I did have somebody ask if a couple of people asked actually if I do plan on worldwide shipping, and at this point, yes, I have no problem with once I do get my my design finalized and get an Etsy store up and running. I do plan on worldwide shipping, but it's going to cost, unfortunately. I can't offer free shipping at this point. It definitely, depending on weight and size of package, is, I know for our business, that's what's dependent on how much shipping is. I'm not 100% sure with Etsy if they have like flat rate fees or things like that. But I do know that I myself have received refunds from sellers from Etsy where it seems like they had to charge a flat fee, and then if they didn't end up having to pay all that, they refunded. Bye. Obviously, it's only my word at this point, but my plan is to do the same. If I have to, for whatever reason, charge you $20 to ship something and it costs me $12, you are going to get an $8 refund on shipping. I don't believe in profiting off of that, because it's been done to us as vendors for some of our supplies, and I know how it feels, and it sucks. So I'm not going to do it. Okay, I think that concludes any kind of craftiness. Excuse me, my nose is itchy and drippy. I went down to Florida, had no sinus problems. My cold had cleared up, thankfully, by the time I hit Florida. And I was fine all week. We start up in the car, 6.5 hours north, hit the border of South Carolina and North Carolina. By that next morning, I was all clogged up again. It was 70s for the highs during the week we were down there, 50s-ish for the lows. There was some highers and colders depending on the day. It was like gorgeous here at where I live. The whole week I was gone, and I come home and it starts snowing again. What the heck? That happened last year too. The weather here hates me. So anywho's, I'm not sick again, but it's the normal sniffles that I always have because Ohio is Ohio. So besides the trip to Cumberland Island, again, it was just three of my friends and I. We did the same trip with three of us, and there was a new person this time as far as our fourth person goes. And it was fantastic. We packed way too much stuff and biked in sand with way too much stuff and exhausted ourselves and had an absolute blast. I actually ended up having to take, and like I said, it was a 3.5 mile bike trek to the campsite. There were 10 campsites there's a toilet that you can use at the campsites with plumbing, thankfully. They do have a shower, but there's no hot water, and you do still have to treat your water to be able to drink it. It's far enough north that it's not completely abandoned, but you basically have the beach to yourself. So I took a little video of our beach, and I'll insert it here. And as you can see, I didn't know what to say in that video, so I'm just quiet. I just did a pan around. And there are wild horses here on this island, and there's armadillos. We saw a lot of armadillos. The worst critter there usually is raccoons. They actually have bear boxes, because if you leave your food out, the raccoons will come and get it. And you know, we like planned out our meals and everything and camp stove, but I had to take an extra hammock because I've been weight testing one of our hammocks, our ultralight hammocks, and I was a little worried that this might be the trip that it ripped on me. It didn't, but I took an extra hammock just in case, so that added like half a pound of weight. But yeah, so at the end of the video, I'll do a little slideshow just of some pictures that I took. Nothing crazy, but it was pretty gorgeous there, so but I'll tack it at the end. Other than that, let's see, Valentine's Day came and went. My husband and I's 23rd anniversary of actually the day we met was on the 12th of February. We actually met, we opened a restaurant that is actually closed now, but it was just up the road from where we live now, and it was back in 1998 was when the restaurant opened. I was a server out front, he was a cook in the back, and when you open a restaurant, it's a little bit crazy and chaotic, and generally speaking, front of the house does front of the house stuff, back of the house does back of the house stuff. You don't mingle for a while. So we actually didn't meet until that next February. The restaurant opened in November, and then we actually kind of met that next February. He had gotten done with a shift and was sitting down with a beer, and I was in the middle of tables or didn't have anybody. I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry, cut that out. But he had sat down, and one of my coworkers was like, "Oh, hey, have you met John? So and so. He's over there. You should go say hi." And so I went over and I plopped down and said, "Hey, you know, I'm who I am." And we were friends for years and years and years, through his first marriage, through my first marriage, through his first two kids and my first two kids. And then we both got divorces, and then, you know, we had stayed in touch through all the years that we'd known, you know, from when we'd met to when we started dating. And so, yeah, we had our 23rd year anniversary of the first day we met, because it was actually pretty memorable for both of us. And then the 17th of February was our little guy's birthday, and he just turned 4. And okay, so please don't judge. I did not potty train my first two children. My ex-husband did. He was much better at it. I don't know. I don't get puppies because I don't know how to housebreak them. Apparently, I'm terrible at housebreaking children too. So we finally, with our little one, we just had to say, the store is out of diapers. You're just gonna have to learn how to potty like a big boy. So that's what he got for his 4th birthday, was lots of underwear, which I'd had some on hand anyway, like the training underwear or whatever. And we've had some success. We've had some epic fails, but he's getting there. But he was like this kid that, let's go learn how to sit on the potty. No, I don't want to. That's what we have to do. We have to sit on the potty. That's what we have to do. No, I don't want to. Look, kid, this is how this is gonna work. No. And he would get kind of upset, like trying to put him on the toilet. So we didn't want to push him and like traumatize him, but I'm terrible at this potty training, housebreaking thing. But don't judge. And feel free to give me advice and things that have worked for you. But I'm still really bad at it. But please don't judge, because this kid will be housebroken for school. I hope. So yeah, his birthday came and went, and then my trip, and now I'm back. Now it's back to the grind and getting stuff done for work, and hopefully getting this bag deal going, because I'm really excited. I really hope what I have envisioned in my head works. Otherwise I can still make bags, but what I really wanted to do is, we'll see. We will see. My plans, like I said, I think Boudreaux is going to be a focus piece as much as I can without burning myself out on it. I really hope that doesn't make for a boring video next time. I'm sure I will intermingle it, every few days I'll pull something else out and work on it for a day, but that's going to be the majority of the goals, and we know these. So we'll see. It's going to be a SEWGlover kind of thing, but also a goal thing too. But I don't know what I'm going to be in the mood to work on yet. We shall see. I think on that note, I think I'm going to go ahead and sign off, clean up my mess, because if you do videos like these, the mess is real. And, one last update as far as life goes, and then I'll let you go, because, we've hit that hour mark that I'm really good at hitting. The sleep thing. So I've gone to see a sleep specialist. They have recommended that I do an overnight lab sleep study. They called me, I missed the call, I called them back, got their voicemail, then I went for vacation, and of course now it's Friday again, and I've completely forgotten to call them. So I need to call them again on Monday to try and get that scheduled. But the gal that I saw before I left gave me some tips for sleep hygiene, basically good habits to build, which were working, kind of. I have been able to fall asleep around midnight when we all, we go settle down and bed down for the night. But I wake up at like 3:30 or 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning, wide awake, knowing that I need to get some more sleep because I'm definitely an 8-hour of sleep kind of girl. And I don't know. So when you're camping and you don't have any like artificial lighting, like street lamps or anything like that, we kind of have what we call hiker midnight. Basically, when the sun goes down and you've burned your headlamp for a little bit and you've had a really fulfilling day, either hiking or, sightseeing or what have you, once the sun goes down, you're pretty darn tired. You've usually eaten, as the sun is going down, so you're not cooking in the dark and stuff. So we were usually in our hammocks and snuggling down for the night no later than 8 o'clock every night. I think one night I fell asleep after 9 o'clock, and that was because I had a loafing day. I was like, I'm not doing anything, I'm on vacation, I'm just going to loaf. So that was great. I slept fantastically the whole week there. With a caveat that it was like 12-hour nights the whole week, because I would fall asleep around, maybe like 10, 11. I'd fall asleep about 9, and then I'd wake up about 8 or 9. It was a long night. But again, we were very physically active, and, I had a lot of things going that made me tired. Now that I'm back, bedtime was usually around, I'd start kind of winding down about 11 o'clock. We'd hit the bed at about midnight. And prior to leaving, I was able to get up around 8 o'clock. This week I've been finding that I am not ready to wake up at 8 o'clock. I'm still dead tired. I'm having a hard time motivating to get out of bed. And so it's been like 9:30, 10:30, 11. I had one afternoon, I think I finally rolled out of bed at like 1. I'm like, I set an alarm and everything, and I told my husband, like, why didn't you wake me up? He's like, you were sleeping so good. You're not helping. So I'm hoping that the lab study will shed some light as far as why I can't stay asleep or why I can't wake up early enough even though I've actually gotten to sleep and had 8 hours, why I can't be fulfilled at 8 hours and still feel like I'm needing to sleep late. I don't know. So we're still looking for answers. Like I said, I tonight's a late night, but I've got to get up. I have to get up and do something tomorrow, so I'm not super worried about late sleep or whatever. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Like I said, it was kind of working. I was going to sleep, but staying asleep started being an issue. Whereas if I stay up really late, go to sleep super late, tend to sleep 8 hours, and I'm good. I get up. I don't know. So, thank you again for joining me for my hour-long special, because apparently that's my thing, is hour-long videos. I know you have other people to see, so I really appreciate you taking the time to spend some of your time with me. I will go ahead and do my slideshow. There's not a whole ton of pictures, just a little bit about the place that I am really loving to get away from it all at. So, in the meantime, don't forget to enjoy the journey. It's not all about the destination, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.